Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Leadership. Rowan Dredge here, great to have you with us. So thrilled to have Andrew Menzies in this conversation today. Andrew is becoming a really great friend and just love being able to talk and see the sharpening that comes from those conversations. And it's just great to have you with us today, mate. Thank you.
It's good to be here.
Hey, you've had a variety of ministry experiences, big ministry, smaller ministry, in different states, around different parts of the world, and you're now leading a Bible college, which is a significant responsibility for you and one you're very excited about. Just unpack a little bit about how you got to this place.
Well, I think the first thing to say was I'm not sure I got there intentionally saying in 20 years' time I want to run a Bible college. Even until 2 years ago, I was knocking back this role until God awoken me to a call to it. However, I can see trends now all the way through. I have, for 15 of my 20 years, been working with youth and young adults, and the focus there has been about development and leadership of people and leaders into ministry. So we ran a youth ministry at Crossway. We had 1,000 young people. But I think when I look at it, what was specifically important to me was the 120 small group leaders and the 8 or 10 staff who we trained and developed. We sent 60 people off to Bible college and develop them. And I think that pattern, I did that also in South Australia and in a national Baptist capacity with young adults and youth pastors, the same pattern. So I then went to Camberwell and turned around an old dying church that was toxic, not well, but in a city with the challenge of if we can learn some lessons on how you can rejuvenate a church in an inner city area with property worth 10, 15 million, but it's 30 or 40 people coming. Such a waste of stewardship. So I was interested in that model. I think ultimately what called me away from that was that while we turned it around and we ended up with a couple of hundred people and young families, and I think we brought the average age down from about 100 to about 35. I think it was that it wasn't about, again, developing the next generation of leaders. So I think that sense of call brought me back again. I had been on the table board, and that fulfilled a little bit of that energy, but I think the call to full-time giving my energy towards training and developing people was brought me back. So I don't think I intentionally set out to be a principal of a college.
Yeah, that's
However,
a good point.
You look at the passion and the thread all the way through, that kind of what you do and the opportunities tends to look after itself if you stay focused to your call.
Let me pick up on one thing you said there. You've said trends and thread a couple of times, and for people developing in their roles, and this is obviously specific around ministry because that's your bent, but presumably the characteristics can be true for other areas. This looking back, and how did you identify those themes and those threads and those trends and pick up on them in a way that was helpful to your next step and the decisions that you've had to make?
I don't think it's hard. I think it's what brings you energy in life. It's the same with people. I've always said with staff, if someone walks in the room and your energy goes down, you know something's wrong. Yeah. If they walk in and it's great to see them and you're energised by them being there, you know things are going well. I think that's the same with yourself and what you're doing through the day and the week. If you're with people, and for me, coaching people, teaching people, seeing someone go to a more maximised place where they are using their gifts and their skills and their talents, they're making the world a better place, they're fulfilled, they're achieving their possibility, that just rocks my boat. I love doing that. And so I think it's just simply about looking inside yourself and saying, where are those things where I feel energised, where I just know that, you know, you don't have to pay me to do this.
Yeah, that's right.
I will get out of bed early and I will do more and more of this if I can.
We say around here, what would you do for nothing?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. I think the other thing is helpful in this is
don't
just
tell my board that.
Yeah, or mine. Is that perhaps a good question to ask if you're listening to this conversation is someone that's a little bit further down the track than you, whose opinion you trust, is what trends they see in your life might be a good thing as well. Like actually trend spotting in that way.
I can remember coming back from a trip in North America and looking at one particular staff member who was really battling away valiantly, but in an area where she wasn't particularly feeling that energy, that contribution. And I just looked at her and I could see she's a writer, she's an editor, she's a more journalist type person. And when I started feeding that into her, she just came alive.
Yeah.
She's gone in that direction. She's now doing a postgraduate studies. She's in a great role and making a maximum contribution in an area where I couldn't.
Yeah. You're not strong.
No.
Yeah.